right, guys. So I am going to dive into how to manage large projects. So these are projects that span multiple weeks or even multiple months. And when you're forecasting and trying to figure out how much revenue are we going to produce in a given month, it's really important that the revenue is accurately distributed. So if you have a $100,000 project that lasts 2.5 months, you need to make sure that each month that work is being done on that project, you're able to accurately represent how much revenue are you going to produce in a given month and how much did you produce for a given project. So that's what I want to dive into in this video. This is an extremely technical video. So this would be for more advanced Airtable users. It kind of gets into the weeds, and we're working on formulas using the AI feature inside of Airtable. This is very technical. So if you're not a technical person, you can watch the other videos of just kind of the theory of how this works. But this is a very boring technical video on exactly how we set this up for our clients. And if you're interested in chatting or just having us help you with this, feel free to grab a call or schedule a call down below. We'd be happy to do that, and enjoy the video. First thing is you have projects and then you have events. Projects are the thing that you sell. They're the contracts with the customer. They're the project type. So it's like if I have an exterior painting project, that's the project. Every single project needs to have at least one event. So you can see here in this base, I've got a bunch of projects, and then under the project is where I have all of my events. So that's a foundational thing first. You can see Bob Schumacher has 2 events under his same project. Philip has his actual project and then a warranty event. So this is a great way to manage touch-ups and warranty that are non-revenue generating, but they still need to be tracked on that core project. But you can see most of my projects only have one event because they're smaller projects and they don't require multiple events. So that's the first thing to understand. The next thing is that because I schedule events, my start and end dates need to be in the events only. So those are the fields that I can edit. My project start and project end date is what I want to show you right now. Okay, so in this split month view that I just created in my projects table, I'm going to pull in just the dates and the different things that are going to be necessary for me to build all this out. So my project start date and my project end date is a roll up of the events. So you can see here, this field is saying for the start of the project, I want you to roll up all the events in the event start date field and show me the minimum value of all of those events rolled up. Same thing for the end. I want to see all of my event end dates rolled up to show me the end date. And so a critical thing here is that I'm not actually allowed or able to edit the start or end date in the project level. I have to open up the project, and then I have to go to the event that's part of this project. And then I can open up the event and change the start and end date of the event if I want to affect the date of the project. So let me actually go to my test deal that's in here. Here's Chris Kiefer's project. Chris's project starts on the 3rd, ends on the 24th. If I go in here, I can find my events, and here's my event. So I can open up this first one. So here's the project, or the event itself, and the start date. Instead of the 3rd, I'm going to change it to the 10th. And then you can see that my event end date automatically adjusted because I have set up what's called date dependencies. So because my duration of the project is 3, if I change this to the 4th, it changes the end date to the 8th. And this is 3 working days, which is pretty cool. It's automatically taking out your weekends. If I change it to the 23rd, it's going to output the 25th because 1 full day, 2 full days, 3 full days. If I extend the duration, say it's actually 5 days, now you can see it starts on the 3rd, ends on the 23rd, ends on the 29th, and that's fixed or automatically updated. And then if I go back to this parent project, because I changed my start and end dates, you can now see that the project starts on the 15th, which was the start date, the lowest start date of all my events, and ends on the 29th. So that is a critical thing to do first. The next thing is that we have the duration, so project duration. And this I actually need to change to a roll up as well. So in order for this to work, so I'm going to call this the duration of the project. And this is, I'm just putting notes here, sum of all my event durations. So this is not going to be a formula. It's going to be a roll up. And I'm once again going to roll up a property in the event table. And the property that I want to roll up is the duration field. And this is the sum of all the values in the duration. And you might say, why don't we just take the start date to find duration? Why don't we just take the end date minus the start date and output the duration? And the reason you don't want to do that is because, first of all, we only want to count working days. And sometimes there are gaps between when a project starts, like the different events in the project start. So you can see here that in my events for this particular project, I could have right here, let's open up this first one and say that I have it start on the 23rd, ends on the 29th. Then for whatever reason, let's say that the second one starts on the August 14th and goes to the 23rd. So if I were to do the duration of like 823 minus 723, that would be 30 days. In reality, each event, one was, I think it was, one was 6, one was 7. And so the actual duration of the project in days is 13. So that's a really key thing that you have to get correct. Then, now that I have the project duration, I want to go back to the events. And in the events, I want to, what I'm trying to get to is what percentage of the total project value is part of the given event that I'm working on. So right here, for example, we have the event start date of this Chris Kiefer project and the event end date, which I'm going to pull up next to it. Okay, so we have the event start date and end date of this Chris Kiefer one. So you can see that this one is 5 and this one is 8. Just to make the math a little bit simpler, let's say that they're both 5. So what we are looking for is we want this to say that the hours on this event is 50% of the total project hours, and the same with this one. If we changed it to 2 and 8, again, just for simple math, we would want 20% of the hours on this one and 80% of the hours on that one. So to get that, so what I need is I need to pull in the total project duration from the parent project. So again, in the parent project, I have a duration, which is a roll up of the sum of all my event durations. And then in the event table, I'm going to take that roll up field and pull it back into the event table. So I'm looking that up from the project. This is a lookup field from the project. So now here you can see this is 2, this is 10. And so essentially what all I need to do is say that this one is going to be, and I always like doing the gear for all these calculations that won't make sense to anyone other than me that made it. So we're going to say percent of event. So that is saying that this event takes up what percent of the total project. And we're going to make this a formula. And then the formula is just going to be the duration, event duration, divided by project duration. And make sure that that's correct like that. And then we're going to create that field. So now you can see the right here on that one that we were doing. Oh, actually, let's make sure we change this to a percent field. So formatting, and it's a percent. So now you can see here that we've got the 20% and 80%. If I were to change these, let's say this one is now 6 days long. Now I'm at 43% of the total project and 57%. And because of the way that we set this up, if I were to make more events, so now I've got 8, 8, and 6. That's 22 days total. So 6 divided by 22 is 27. 8 divided by 22 is 36. And then the other one's 36. But I can now change these to whatever I want. And I know the percentage of the project is going to be automatically changing accordingly. So now that we have that, the next thing to do is to assign the number of hours in the event level, or sorry, the number of hours of the event needs to be uh, a multiplication of the percent of the total multiplied by how many hours are on that main project. So I'm going to add in a field here. And actually, let's look at how many hours fields I already have. So we have total hours worked, hours remaining, hours from parent project. We do need that one. What are the contractor hours, project adjusted hours, project actual hours, and project hours? All right. So we have the total hours from the parent project. So I'm actually going to rename this to project total hours. And this is everything, including the estimated AWO and the pushback, all of them. So this is the number of hours of this is the percentage of the total project that happens in this event. The other thing that I want to know is, and this is another way to find this, but I want to say what percent of the project is completed every day. At the project level, I want to create a field that is a formula, and we are going to call this percent of project completed each day. And what that is going to be, if you take the total number of days of the project, I just want to do 1 divided by that number to figure out every day I should be completing X percentage of the project. So this is saying, oh, and for the infinities, let's go ahead and add in here. This is a really cool feature. We can just say, and so you can use AI to modify your formulas here and have it convert that into the formula, or what the formula needs to be to get rid of those infinities. So now we're going to save this again, and you can see for the ones that don't have a duration yet, it's just saying 0, and these other ones are saying if it's 25 days long, I'm going to complete 4% every day. If it's 2 days long, I'm going to complete 50% every day. Now in the events table, we're going to pull that back in. So we're going to go to the project, and we're going to look up. Actually, let's just do a new field here. So we'll insert to the right and say this is going to be a lookup. And the table that we're going to look up is the parent project, and the field that we want is the percent of project completed each day. This is going to be percent of project completed each day. And there we go, create that. So now what this is saying is every day that goes by, that percentage of the project will be completed. So now what I want to know is I need to calculate how many days does this event happen. So like the reason that we're building this entire thing is if I go delete all this, what we're working towards is in this event, if I start on July 1st, and let's say it goes until September, for simple math, let's just go to August. So this is a 38-day project, but what I'm trying to figure out is what percentage of the project gets completed in July alone. So if I can figure out which percentage is completed in July, then I know when to split the event and also what to report on as far as how much revenue is getting produced in July specifically. So in this case, because this the only number of days, I want to basically find out how many days happen in July. So I'm going to create another field, and this one has kind of a crazy formula that I'm going to paste in here. So the field that I'm adding is number of project days in the start month. So this is how many days from, if it starts on July 5th, how many days until the July 31st? If it starts on July 1st, from the first to the last day of that month, that's what I'm looking for. So this is going to be another formula. And this one again, you can just type into ChatGPT or to the generate AI what you're looking for. But this is the formula that is needed. So it's a kind of a complex one. I'm not going to go into what it's doing, but basically it's going to return how many days, and these are working days, are in the start month. So how many days in the start month? This is saying, in this case, the project starts on 7/1. And so if we go count this, we have working days. There would be 5, 10, 15, 20, and 3. So 23 is the number of working days in July. And I can confirm that's what it says. If I change this to, let's say that now I'm starting on the 17th, I have 1, 2, 3, 5 more is 8, 3 more is 11. Let's go check. And sure enough, it says 11. So this is again is saying how many project days are happening in the month that the event starts in. So that's an 11. And then the next piece here is how much revenue. So now that we know how many days are in the start month, the next thing we want to know is how much revenue is produced in that month. So if I go here and say money produced in event, I think this is going to be a little more easy to understand. So the money that's produced in this event is the number of days or the percentage of the event. So if we do, so percent of total project multiplied by total amount. And so when I do that, that's going to tell me the amount of revenue. Oh, and I need to convert this to currency. So this is currency, save. And so this is saying that in this case, the total project, the whole thing's being completed in this same month or in this one event. So that I'm producing all 9,500 in the same event. And you can see where's the total. There's my total amount, 9,500. If I were to add this and duplicate, and let's say that we're going to have this event start or end on the 31st, and then this one starts. If this starts on August 1st, and we're going to have it end August 30th. So now my total duration is 22 in this month and 11 in that month. Total project days is 33. That means 33% happens here, 67% happens here. And the total produced in the event. So I've got a third here and 2/3 here. So that's correct so far. We're on the right track. And now the cool thing is that if I'm going to shrink these down so you can see this a little bit better. But if I change the duration of an event, so let's say that we cut some days off in this one, and we're going to cut some days off in this one. Let's do 13 instead. So now the start date is 7/17 to 7/23. Then there was a gap where we didn't do any work. And then we worked again from August 1st to August 19th. It's going to automatically break up that revenue into what percentage of the project was completed in that given month. So that automatically is calculated for us. Then there's a bunch of fields that we need to create in order to get this to work, or in order to be able to automatically split jobs. And what we're going to do here is say we want to get the end date of the current month, or of the month that the project starts is. So we're going to say, and actually this should say new end date. So this is the new end date of the current event. So in this scenario, I'm making a formula here, and I've already pulled this in. So I'll show you what this looks like. When I paste this in, I have the event start date, event end date. And what this is going to do is it's going to output if there is any event that crosses months, which none of these do. But let's say that this event is changed and now it ends August 8th. So now, because I've done that, it's telling me that when I split the event into two events, and let me delete this one. it's saying that the event that I'm cutting, so this one that goes from July 17th to August 8th, we need to end the event on July 31st. So that's if it starts and ends in the same month, it's going to output nothing. But if it starts in a different month, it's going to output that. So we're going to call that new end date. And we have new end date of current event. And this is only if necessary, because again, it might not be necessary, but we have to do this calculation for splitting the event. Then the last thing is the start date of next event, or not the last thing, but the next thing. So I'm going to duplicate this, and then we're going to change the name here to start date of, and we're going to again say new start date of next event. And then the formula for that will be, and here we have the new start date. So again, you can see what we're doing here is in the event, or in the scenario that we have an event that starts in July and ends in August, we need the end date of the first event to be the 31st of July, and the next event start date would be August 1st. So we have the 31st, and then August 1st is the next event. And then the end date of the next event would be that's the last field that we need to create here. And that is, we'll add one right here. And this one is going to be called new end date of next event. And then this is going to be a formula again. And the formula that we're going to bring in is this one. And again, you can see that what I'm doing is the original event is July 17th to the 8th. And I need to build an automation that's going to chop off that event and say it now ends on the 31st of July. And the next event's going to start on the 1st and then end on the 8th. So those are going to be my start and end dates of the new events that I'm creating. And then the last thing here to add is a field that I like to put in, just like it's kind of like a status of, is this necessary or do we need to do this thing? So we're going to make a field here that is called split job status. And this is a formula again. And then these answers here, we're going to output in a single select. So event spans multiple months. And then this one says no split needed. So when we do that, you can see that these don't need any splits because they start and end in the same month. This event does need a split. And so this is going to be a trigger for us to build an automation that's going to split this automatically for us. So the automation that we're going to build is, we're going to do it based on a button click. And so I want to create a new automation. And this is going to be called split event if spans multiple months. And then the trigger we're going to do is when a button is clicked. And then the logic that we're going to use is first we're going to check, and if someone pushes this button on accident and the status that we just built, so the split job status, and actually we need to click where we triggering this from. So the source, so I need to connect it to a button first. So if I go back to where we're building this whole thing, what we're doing is handling this in events. So in the interface level, I need to go to an event, which would probably be the operations manager who's going to be splitting these events. And so when we're looking at them, we have calendar view here. And I can click on one of these events, open up, and I want to add a button. And this button is going to be for splitting events. So let's open this up. So I just going to call this split into single month events. So I'm going to assign the action is going to be an automation. And the automation that I'm going to choose is the one that I just made, split events. And now that I've done that, I can go back to automation and you can see that it's tied to the events now. So I can go back in and say, okay, the first thing that we're going to run is the split job status. So split job status is event spans multiple months. So if this is not true, nothing's going to happen. But if it is true, then I need to do a series of things here. I'm going to update the original record that was clicked in this. So in this case, if I were to click that event that starts in July and goes to August, the middle of August, I need to update in that table the record ID, which is going to come from the record that triggered this whole thing. And all that we need to do is change the event duration to, actually, let's change the event end date. That's what we'll do. So we'll say the event end date is going to be, and this is a dynamic field, and so the event end date is going to be changed to the end. I think we called it new end. So what this is saying is that when this automation runs, we're going to go to the record that triggered this whole thing. We're going to change the end date from what it was to the new end date. Then we're going to add in another action here that's going to be to create a record. And this is also going to be in the events table. And then in the event table, we need to change the event start date. So we have the start date, and the event start date is going to be dynamic. And we're going to pull in the new start date of next event. So new start date of next event. And then the end date will be end date. So we have our event start date is the new start date of next event, and the event end date is new end date of next event. Then we can go to add another field, and this is going to be the subtype. So basically all the other fields that we've been using. So we want to make sure that the subtype stays the same. This needs to be dynamic. We're going to pull in the subtype from the other event. So then we add another one in here, and this would be the crew leader. And any other events or any other properties that you have, you would continue to add this. All right. And then the final thing that we need to do is add the dependencies. So this is saying that the dependencies that we're going to make this dependent on is going to be the record that was the original record. So we're going to put in the record ID, and then we also need to put in the parent project. So this would be parent project, and this is the project. So if we search for parent project, this would be the same project that was linked there. So now we have the whole thing set up. We can go ahead and turn it on. And then let's go into the interface to test this. So we built the interface. We have that Chris Kiefer test job. I'm going to go find it. So we say, this is Kiefer. And we have this one from July 17th to August 8th. So I'm going to open this up, and we're going to click the split event button. So split into single month events. And we'll see it start processing when it actually clicks. So there it goes. And then if we see here, I now have created The first event from the 17th to the 31st, and then the next one from August 1st through, let's go to the next month here, to the 8th. So it effectively split that as we wanted. And now the revenue that's produced on any one of these, let's go back and look here. Now we have the same project, and we can see here that the revenue that's produced in this one is 6,147. The revenue that's produced in this one is 3,352. And they start on 17th to the 31st, and so on. So as long as you don't have events that span multiple months, or you basically, that's a rule, is that you never want to have the events span multiple months. And so that is how you do that. We'll try this one more time with another project here, but let's say that I have a start date that is August 8th, and we're going to go all the way to October 24th. So August, September, October 24th. Now, what we're doing is we're taking we can go find this event on the calendar. So let's go back to the interface. And when we split this for months, for projects that span many months, so you have to do this part a number of times here. So we're going to say, looking for that Kiefer project. So it starts August 8th. I'm going to open this up, and we're going to split it into single month events. So it's processing, and we're going to see that it cuts it there. That's good. And then if we go to the next month, we see that it starts on the 1st and ends on the 24th. But we need to actually split the second event now one more time. So if we open this up and we split into single month events, you can now see that another one's going to get created here from October 1st through October 24th. And the best part is that if you move one of these events, so let's say the whole thing has to get pushed. So I push it down to here. You'll see that everything else got adjusted accordingly and automatically pushed. Now, as I said before, though, we don't want events to span across multiple months. So anytime that we shift an event like I just did, what we need to do is move this back and then extend this one forward. So we need to make sure that the events that are on here never span multiple months. They always each event needs to be in its own month so that your reporting is correct when you go and pull this. So that was a lot. Hopefully this made sense and you're following along. This is probably one of the more technical videos that I've done, but this is a really, really cool feature to allow you to accurately show which months are going to produce what amount of revenue. In some separate videos, I'll show you how I'm thinking about building reports to show this and build out these for reporting on revenue in the interfaces for people. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you'd like to see more of in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.